Hi, welcome to the channel. Welcome back if you're a current subscriber. I'm yet again not showing my face because of dental issues and other issues, but let me know in the comment section if you actually prefer it this way. Also, this case is about the Sullivan siblings, which are two young children, I believe around 4 and 6 years old, Jack and Lily, who went missing in Nova Scotia. And this interview is from their stepfather. And there are a few things I noted in 3 different clips I'm going to show here, so let's get started.
I don't know why they didn't find anything from Jack's pull-up to her backpack or any of her belongings at all. They just haven't found anything.
The first thing I want to note is that there is forehead creasing and upward glabella furrowing, the glabella being the muscle in between the eyebrows. So it seems at first glance there is some pain there, some grief there. As he's speaking, however, he doesn't have a very high blink rate until he starts discussing the specific things that the people have not found in searching for Jack and Lily. What's also interesting to me is rarely he's expressing that a backpack should be found. Now, given they had gone missing on a Friday, this would make sense. They could have gone missing right after school. However, in this specific case, the kids had not gone to school. What I've heard in another interview is that the kids were staying home from school because they were sick, which makes it even more strange that they would go wandering off in the first place. Because if they weren't feeling well, there would be a smaller likelihood for them to go wandering off. Not that that's impossible, but that would be less likely to happen if they didn't feel good. And if they hadn't gone to school, why would a search team find a backpack? So that was very strange to me. Along with the lack of blink rate that this man has, this lack of stress around things, and the fact that his shoulder is slightly turned away from the interviewer, that is also notably strange to me and indicates that he perhaps is not comfortable holding this interview. When it comes to missing children, a parent should fully want to be cooperative, fully present and invested in the interview to make sure that these children are found. This man also discusses how the search team did not find anything, did not find any of the belongings, and in a way he mixes up Jack and Lily. He says they didn't find Jack's pull-up, her backpack, or anything. So that slight referential shift there tells me something else is going on, along with the blink rate around that part where there's a bit of stress there. And then his head goes down and he glances over at the interviewer as he says, they just haven't found anything. Then he presses his lips together, perhaps holding back some feelings or some thoughts there. That's typically what we would do. Just something to note there that something else is going on as he says they haven't found anything. He doesn't bring himself into this. We haven't found anything. If he is indeed searching, this should be a group reference here. We haven't found anything. He would put himself referentially in the shoes of people who are also searching. So these are some things that stuck out verbally and non-verbally in this clip.
They're very stressful. I mean, ever since the Friday morning when we noticed that the children were gone. Immediately jumped in the vehicle, surveyed all the areas, many dirt roads, many culverts as I could, and waited for the police to get there.
Several things happening in this one clip. There's certainly more of a blink rate in this clip. A lot of stress as he discusses that he surveyed dirt roads. He uses the word gone, which is interesting. It's past tense. It offers no hope for these kids to be still around and for there to be a reason for anybody to still be searching for them. So if he is indeed searching for them but also believes they're gone, that would be in conflict. That would not make sense. He adds that extra detail as many culverts. Noting culverts in this, it does not make sense when you're driving down the street to offer that I passed many culverts. That specific detail there, along with the eye blocking around dirt roads and not around culverts, tells me, again, something else is going on there. There's also a bit of a head nod when he says waited for the police. When he says police, his head turns away very slightly. There's some aversion to that there. Some aversion to the police, to getting some help with these missing children. Again, very notable in this case that he seems to have some bit of guilt, a bit of aversion at the very least to having help in the search, and some stress around that. As we saw in the previous clip, he did seem very pained with the forehead creasing and the upward glabella furrowing, but it was around what the search team did not find. It was around specific details about these children that were not found, which was pretty alarming to me personally. His chin stays down in a lot of these clips, which does indicate some level of shame and guilt. It could be defensiveness, though he would have no reason to be defensive, and he does not seem aggressive. He's just stressed and perhaps some shame around this. The shame could be because he's guilty, but it could also be because there are these missing children and he's part of taking care of them and now they're gone, and he may feel a bit of responsibility there for that reason alone. But certainly he's protecting that vulnerable part of his body in most of these clips, which indicates some shame and some guilt around these children missing. There's also, of course, some stuttering, which is not normal for him. That's not his baseline in a lot of these clips. He says children, saying that double there that doesn't make sense. And with saying Friday and turning away, his eyes shifting a bit there, not eye accessing. He's not thinking, wait, was it Friday? So indications of potential deception there, as if perhaps that's not truly the day that they went missing. That's the day that they were reported missing, that perhaps they went missing Thursday, maybe even after school, which would make sense as to why there's a backpack there. Just some things that I'm noting that I can't say for sure, guaranteed, because anything's possible, but this is what I would start to believe just seeing these clips, and his nonverbal cues around specific things, his stress around this backpack, his stress around them being gone, and using that word gone, his verbiage around it being Friday is shifting eyes, which is not typical of someone telling the truth, then him not having a blink rate in his previous clip, for the most part, indicating he really wasn't that stressed until he started going into the details of the things that the search team should be able to find.
The very first day I wasn't around very much because I was just searching. I was running through the woods, screaming their name till my throat hurt.
Several things going on here. When he notes in particular that he was just searching, running through the woods, there's a bit of a tugging at his mouth indicating some level of disagreement there, as if he doesn't really agree with what he's saying himself, that he might not have just been searching in the woods. His head is turned mostly away from the camera, but he does occasionally shift his eyes towards the camera. The sun is there in his face, so that could also alter where his eyes go, because he could just be avoiding the sun. In this clip in particular, there's more downward glabella furrowing, again, that muscle in between his eyes. It's more downward, seems to be a bit more aggressive, and there's still forehead creasing around discussing this. Now, this is a case of missing children, so it's to be expected there's pain, but with the downward glabella furrowing, we would not typically see that when it comes to pure grief. Then there's a tongue jut there at the end of this clip, indicating some dislike around he had just been searching, a head shake there, in disagreement of him just searching. Now, typically if we nod our head in emphasis of something and disbelief of something, that would make sense, that would be congruent with everything else we're seeing, but that bit of a subtle head nod after he says he had been searching indicates, again, something else was going on there, that perhaps that's not at all what he was doing, that he was running through the woods, which the kids most likely wouldn't have got very far, that he would have to run through the woods, and most likely he wouldn't know which direction to even go. There could be a bit of panic in that, so that would make sense, but for the most part it doesn't make sense to be running through the woods as if the children had really gone very far, and it's in conflict with him saying that he'd gone down dirt roads, over culverts in particular. So a lot of conflicting information. This could be different days. That's possible. One day he was searching, driving down dirt roads, and another day he was searching through the woods. But it seems there's certainly disagreement in where he believed the children were, where he wanted to search, and some disagreement around searching in particular. Again, a bit of a mouth tug at I was just searching, and then followed with the bit of a head nod there. Does not make sense. Non-verbally tells me he's being deceptive. I'm going to end this here. This one has been short. I didn't find many clips, so that's really just the reason. But if you've watched this far, please let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Please hit the like button. Please hit subscribe. And also, I am going to try to do some members only things here in the next few months, because I do have members and I'm growing memberships. So please be on the lookout for that. And thank you for watching.